So I want to share with you a really great perspective that was shared with me. There were 2 points that really stuck out to me that I really think are really cool. It's something I think will be implementing into my life for this week going forward. 2 things. One, and it's funny how you kind of know these things, but it's important to kind of get refreshed in these things and reminded about these things. As humans forget things. First thing is our mind can only focus on one thing at a time. So whether it be fear or faith, you can only really focus on one at the same time. He was talking particularly about anxiety or fear or worry, and I haven't really been feeling anxious lately. I've just been feeling kind of off. This is not totally myself kind of thing. And it's been more annoying than anything else. And I tried what he recommended, and it's actually, it works. And it's I knew it would work. It's just being reminded of it sometimes is really important. That's why I'm sharing with you, because maybe you just need to be reminded of it. So that being said, what he was saying is the fact of that feeling of whatever, frustration or angst or anxiety, if you want to take it to anxiety or depression or worry, they can't coexist with gratitude. When you're in a grateful state of mind, thanking God for all that he's done for you, they can't be in the same place. Like I said, I've been kind of feeling just not anxious isn't the right word. It's just kind of off. And I started implementing that, and I was you know what, I'm so grateful for this. Thank you, God, for this. And then as you start to practice that, I start to think of new things and more things. And I just was thinking about the fact that man, how grateful am I that I get to be a musician, a full-time musician. How many musicians are out there that want to be musicians and are musicians but don't have the ability to do it full-time? They have full-time jobs and they get to do music on the side. I'm incredibly grateful for that. And as soon as you start being grateful, that frustration or anxiety, whatever you want to call it, just angst kind of thing, whatever it is, just kind of lifts. And it's really remarkable. And you'd be thank you, God, for all this stuff that you've done for me. I'm so grateful for this, also so grateful for that. And we all have things we could be grateful for in reality. Even the blessing of this garden that I'm doing. I just want to start a garden, and I called friends for advice, and now it's turning into this huge garden. Not only did I get the garden that I wanted, I got a bigger garden than I wanted, practically for free. And it's wow, there is so much to be grateful for. And as soon as you start being grateful and thanking God and reminding yourself of all the things that God has done and is able to do, we stop focusing on the problem. Because that's a big thing for me. That's actually, now I'm speaking it out, that's a big thing for me, is I so often, if I'm feeling just off, like I said, it's not been this anxiety, it's not been I'm worrying about something, I'm just feeling off. And then I'm why am I feeling off? What is this feeling? Why do I feel this way? I'm so focused on that. And as soon as I start focusing on how powerful God is and all the things he's done in my life and how grateful I am for things, I can't focus on both at the same time. So I want to really this week focus on just being grateful and thanking God for all that he's done in my life. So now, the second thing that he talked about today that I thought was remarkably profound is the importance of slowing down. How so often in life, I and everyone honestly spend so much time frantic, especially he was talking mainly with problems that we face or frustrations or anxieties that we face. And he was saying that so often we handle those problems whether they be fears, stresses, anxieties, worries, whatever the case is, we handle them in a frantic manner. And the key is slowing down, and when we slow down, we can kind of, one, see a bit more clearly, and two, then we can start to ask God for help. And from that more calm place, we get more of a concise, real understanding of what's going on. Second of all, we can hear better. So for example, he gave a great example, and then I'll give an example of my life actually, because the example he gave was he read a story recently of this greyhound that was on the street with his owner. They went for a walk, and the owner tied the dog to a chair, and the owner went into some stores to buy some stuff. Well, the dog started running, but then the chair was still tied to him. So when he heard the chair, he started to get freaked out. So then he started running faster, and then the chair kept chasing him even faster, and the chair was clanking up and down, creating all this noise and chaos, and then that scared the dog even more. So then he started running even faster, and the chair kept running and making even more noise and following it because it was tied to him, right? But as soon as the owner came out and noticed what was going on and saw that this was happening, he got the dog and just made the dog stop. And as soon as the dog stopped running, all the chaos and the noise and everything stopped as well. So it's the importance of just, hey, pause for a sec, because so often we go to prayer and be like, hey, oh my gosh, this is the problem, this is the way we gotta fix this, is the way, blah, 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 or even we face a problem, this is how we gotta face it, this is how we gotta deal with it. But in reality, it's like if we just slow down first, pause for a second, how much more would we be able to accomplish, and how much more clearly would we be able to see it. And that actually really puts to words really, really well how I've been working through and handling anxiety for the past 2 years. After, like, I had this revelation in 2020, and it really finally started to stick. I always said that I would ignore the thoughts, and like, people didn't necessarily understand that, because they're like, how do you ignore them? And it's like, because depending on where you are in your journey, it's very hard to. But this actually really puts it to words, because I would just try to stop, not go down that path, not continue to circle, not to create this chaos in my mind, to say, nope, I'm not going to think about it. Nope, I'm not going to think about it. Nope. When those thoughts would come in, I wouldn't engage them, essentially. And it takes practice. Let me tell you, I'm still not perfect, but it takes practice, and the more practice you get, the easier it gets. But as you practice this, it gets easier and easier, one. And two, it's essentially quieting the mind. It's almost like essentially taking the pause, like I just said, and that pause then helps me see more clearly, hear more clearly, understand more clearly, and it just makes so much more sense. The connection between pausing and like ignoring the thoughts. The ignoring the thoughts is the pause. You're pausing from thinking about them, pausing from the chaos that we end up spinning in our minds. Bullet is so excited because we are at my parents' house, and I came with my parents. My mom and I are gonna practice dancing because we got a wedding. I have a wedding to go to with Jamie this Saturday, so I'm excited for that. But I gotta practice, baby.